In a quiet neighborhood just outside Austin, Texas, there was a young veterinarian named Rosie Carter. She was the kind of person who took in the animals everyone else had written off, the ones with the worst prognoses, the longest odds, the least obvious reasons for hope. That was just who she was. She already had a dog at home, a German Shepherd named Charlie. Charlie was affectionate, loyal, and genuinely impossible not to love. He was also, to put it kindly, not the sharpest tool in the shed. He chased his own tail with the full conviction of someone who had almost caught it last time. He barked at shadows, he regularly forgot where he'd hidden his toys and spent 20 minutes looking confused about it. Charlie was a lot of things. A watchdog was not one of them. Then, one rainy autumn afternoon, everything changed. A local rescue team brought a dog into Rosie's clinic. They'd found him tied to a tree in an abandoned field, alone, soaked, barely standing, severely malnourished, dehydrated, the kind of condition that told you immediately that no one had been looking out for this animal for a long time. He was a black German Shepherd, jet black, actually, the kind of coat that looks almost unreal, like polished obsidian. And despite everything his body had been through, despite the exhaustion and the injury and the weeks of neglect written all over him, his eyes were something else entirely. Amber, calm, watching everything in the room with a quiet intelligence that stopped Rosie cold the moment she looked at him. She examined him, treated him, did her job, and by the end of it, she already knew she wasn't letting him go anywhere. That evening, she signed the paperwork, loaded him into her car, and drove him home. She named him Moose. Charlie's reaction to Moose was exactly what you'd expect from Charlie. He bounced around like it was the greatest day of his life, investigating everything, getting in the way, doing his best. Moose watched him. Charlie chased squirrels. Moose studied them. Charlie barked at the delivery truck. Moose tracked it, noted the time, and moved on. Within 2 weeks, Rosie had stopped being surprised by Moose and started being genuinely amazed. He wasn't just smart. He was the kind of smart that makes you wonder sometimes. He learned routines from a single observation. He knew exactly when Rosie was getting ready for work. He was already waiting by the door every morning before she reached for her keys. Every evening, he was at the window before her car even turned onto the street. And somewhere in those first few weeks, it became clear that Moose had made a decision about Rosie. She had pulled him out of that field, she had brought him home, and he had decided, in whatever way dogs decide things, that she was his to protect. About a month in, Moose developed a habit. Every night, somewhere between 10 and 11, he would leave his bed, walk to the front window, and stand there. Not barking, not growling, just watching the street outside with complete, focused attention. Rosie noticed it, filed it away, figured he was just adjusting to the neighborhood, still learning the rhythms of the street. She didn't think too much about it. Then, one night at nearly 3 in the morning, Moose erupted. The barking jolted Rosie out of sleep. Not his usual bark, something different, urgent, the kind of sound that's less of a noise and more of an alarm. Charlie jumped up in total confusion, doing his best impression of a dog who understood what was happening. Moose was at the front door, fur up, every muscle coiled, barking with an intensity Rosie had never heard from him before. She went outside. Nothing. Empty street. No cars, no movement, no sign of anything. Eventually, Moose calmed. Rosie went back to bed. 4 nights later, it happened again. Then again. Then again. Each time she went outside, each time, nothing.
Rosie was a veterinarian. Her whole career was built on observation, on trusting what an animal was trying to tell you rather than dismissing it. If Moose kept reacting to something, there was a reason. She just hadn't found it yet. She installed a security camera, high definition, covering the front yard and the street. For several days, she went through the footage. Nothing obvious. And then she saw it. A white sedan. Every single night, always around the same time. The car would pass slowly, circle the block, come back around. Most people would never have noticed. It was subtle enough to miss if you weren't looking specifically for it. Moose had been tracking it for weeks. Rosie kept going through the recordings, and then she found the night that explained everything. 2:38 a.m. The white sedan stopped 2 houses down. A man got out. He didn't go toward the neighboring homes. He walked directly to Rosie's property, moved up toward the front porch, and stood there for nearly a full minute. Then he tried the door handle. Once, twice, a third time, harder. The exact moment his hand touched that door, Moose went off from inside the house, a full, terrifying bark that filled the whole front of the building. The man backed away immediately. Lights came on inside. He walked fast to his car and was gone within seconds. The next morning, Rosie called the police. They watched the footage. One of the detectives recognized the man immediately, a known burglar who targeted homes he believed were empty. 2 prior arrests, suspected in multiple recent break-ins across the area. The detective rewound the footage, watched Moose at the window, night after night, tracking that white sedan as it circled the block. Watched him catalog something that the cameras had barely caught, and that no person in that house had noticed. The detective smiled. Your dog figured him out long before anyone else did. Rosie looked down at Moose sitting beside her. She thought about the field, the tree, the condition he was in when they found him, the dog nobody had come back for. She reached down and scratched him behind the ears. Good boy, she said quietly. Moose leaned against her leg and said nothing. That evening, he went back to his spot by the front window. Charlie joined him because Charlie thought staring outside looked like it might be fun. Rosie sat down next to both of them and just stayed there for a while. Some dogs are born into good situations. They come home to people who were waiting for them, who had the bed already set up and the name already picked out. They never have to wonder if they belong. Moose wasn't one of those dogs. He came to her weak, abandoned, forgotten, tied to a tree in a field where nobody was coming. And somehow that dog, that specific dog, the one nobody went back for, turned out to be exactly the one she needed. He didn't need a training program to become a guardian. He didn't need a manual. He just needed someone willing to bring him home, and Rosie did. The rest, he figured out himself.